Jalen Reagor getting traded to Minnesota changes nothing.
6'4" guys running 4.4s. These guys don't grow on trees. And a lot of times I'm willing to bet on, especially long term, on the freak athlete.
You don't ever want to overreact to what guys look like in preseason. There's been a ton of preseason all-stars that never make rosters or never pan out.
And good morning. I don't know. Does anybody else think that whistle is like super long? You expect it to stop, and then it doesn't, and then you end up going live with a stupid look on your face.
That's right. You definitely know it's morning. So.
Definitely know it's morning, and it is. It's Sunday morning. So welcome to the Sunday morning preview show here on Belly Up Fantasy Live. As always, joined by Chase, and as of course, welcome back Kevin back into the mix with us here. Glad to have you both with me. What is going on, Chase? Let's go with you. How's your morning so far?
Short. It's been real short. I haven't been up all that long. I didn't wake up to catch first half of the game here, but
well, there was no first half to watch, so
yeah, that's what it looks like. My little guy came in about 5:45 my time and was like, "Daddy, I need help." So he needed some dad time. So yeah, got him up. Got him situated. We fell asleep again. So, yeah, I woke up pretty late. So, it's been a short morning so far.
Short morning, that's all right. But, yes, it is some beautiful football in Germany, if you want to call it beautiful right now. Look, Tampa Bay's starting to look like they could maybe turn the season around here. I know a lot of people were picking the Seahawks to beat Tampa Bay here, but Tampa Bay's pretty much controlled this game so far. Like Kevin said, it wasn't exactly an exciting game so far, but they are in control. Kevin, speaking of you, how are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good despite what's going on in Germany. It's Veterans Day weekend, so I'm coming out. It's a 3-day weekend for me, and I was out there getting my hands on as much free stuff as I could possibly, get my hands on.
As you should have. Should have.
And so I got my Navy jersey on today, even though they lost to Notre Dame yesterday. So. As we talked before, it's 44 degrees here, but it's sunny. And so, we're doing good down here.
Good. Yeah, 44 degrees down in Texas compared to, up here in New England. I was just telling Kevin before the show, this is the first day I think we've had under 60 degrees in like a month up here during the day. So it's been nice. Been spoiled a little bit. That's
why I told him he sent all that cold nonsense down here. He needs to stop doing that.
Yes, that is how it works, everyone. I have that power. But for anyone interested who's not being able to watch the game, they did just kick off the second half. Seattle will start with the ball. So as always, if there's any world-changing news coming out of that, we'll let you know. But as always, let's kick off with a little bit of injury news. It looks like Brandin Cooks is going to be expected to play. And Chase, what you said I hadn't heard yet, and maybe you can share with other people here, that you said they stripped him of his captaincy before the game.
Yeah, I didn't see a ton of detail about it, but yeah, it said that before the game they stripped Brandin Cooks of his captaincy, and to me that makes an already interesting situation even more interesting. Now I know he was upset. I know he didn't want to play, or he was upset he wasn't traded. Took some time away from the team, but if he took time away from the team and you let him, then why would you strip him of his captaincy? So I don't know.
And what's weird is that if this is something that had happened the week before the trade deadline, it would have been a clear-cut sign that he was going to be traded, which a lot of people thought. Like, he was the one that I think a lot of people would have bet money was going to be traded, and then he didn't end up. So, which makes it even more peculiar that this happens, after they can really do anything with him.
Right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know how you think you're going to motivate the guy without, stripping him of his captaincy. How is that supposed to motivate him? I'm really unclear on that.
Well,
right. Yeah. Now get in there and catch 8 balls for 120 yards now.
Yeah, and if Houston wants to do anything, they need him to start producing. So this is
absolutely. They need every player on offense they can get their hands on.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how this plays out here. Real fast, Chet, welcome to the Belly Up community. Good to have you here. So glad you found us. Hope you stick around and enjoy yourself.
I hear you, Chet. I'm up here in Dallas, so I'm all down with the cold. So.
Well, if you have any questions for your teams, Chet, drop them in the chat here. We will help you out live.
That's right. We are live, so bring them.
Some other stuff here. Kyler Murray looks like he's going to be a true game time decision. So that is definitely to keep
That's
an eye
terrible
on.
because he's my fantasy quarterback. So I went out and got Andy Dalton as a reserve
Hmm.
because I didn't want to get stuck with a big squadouche in my starting quarterback spot. So
It's that time of year you cannot afford a zero at any position in your lineup.
that's right, because
It's
the
make or break
playoffs
year.
are, I know it's a few weeks away still, but we're getting down to, playoff positioning
Yeah.
right now. So
Yeah, you got to lock that up. That Kyler Murray does look good for my parlay, though. I did have the Rams in my parlay, so I'm hoping that plays out. I'd never wish for someone to be out or hurt, but that could bode well for me in that sense. And then the other one, Matt Stafford looks like he's not gonna play,
okay.
unless anything changes. So unlikely to play, barring a drastic change. So Matthew Stafford. That whole game now we're looking at two potentially backup quarterbacks in that Cardinals and Rams game. So that's going to be interesting.
There's some fantasy damage right there. So
yeah, that's because those are two guys that teams have been riding at the quarterback position, have been felt safe with. So that's big news. And then the weapons around them, obviously between Kupp and Hopkins, James Conner, Benjamin. Like there's a lot of guys that are going to be affected out of that game now. That makes that. I don't want to say must-watch football TV because the game potentially could be crap, but from a fantasy standpoint, it's going to have a massive impact.
Yeah, two bad football teams do not produce, watchable football.
Yeah, and then the last three kind of news here is that Josh Allen is looking like he's going to play, which is a bit of a shocker. So we'll see if that stays true as we lead up to game time. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be a true game time decision. It seems like he's trending towards no, though. So definitely DFS standpoint, fire up Tony Pollard again. And then Elijah Mitchell is activated off the IR now. So we'll see how he mixes in with Christian McCaffrey going forward now. That could be interesting because that's someone I think a lot of teams have been, if you have an IR spot, have been stashing Elijah Mitchell for this time of year. But now with the addition of Christian McCaffrey,
it
changes a lot.
Yeah.
Changes a lot. It almost feels like, why did I stash him? But all you can do is make decisions off the information you have at the time. So just keep an eye on it. And then look, this Check comes in with a question right off the bat. We'll help him out here. St. Brown at flex or Jeff Wilson? Wilson's game last week did show promise. I don't disagree with you there. I think I'm going to go back to St. Brown here, though. I know he's been a little bit inconsistent here, but I do think I like the upside of St. Brown more than Jeff Wilson. What do you guys say? Is anybody picking Jeff Wilson here?
I would like to go with Wilson, obviously, but St. Brown is one of those players that he could easily catch 8 balls, 2 touchdowns, 110 yards receiving. So with the upside alone, got to go with St. Brown.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's St. Brown. I saw a stat today that if he catches 7 balls, he'll end up with one of the top 10. He'll be in the top 10 all time for quickest for something like quickest to 136 catches. It's some crazy stat where like St. Brown is like showing that he's had a historical start to his career. And I think that he's their most explosive player with DeAndre Swift not fully healthy or not getting full usage. Wilson had a great game last week, but Raheem Mostert is still there. And I'm not necessarily sure how much, what the split's going to be. I don't want to take 1 week of evidence as evidence.
No, I got you there.
Yeah, you might want to look to see if there's possibility you could play both of those guys.
Yeah, I'd say if I got to choose between them, though, I'm going to go with St. Brown for the upside. And then Kamish over at TSS Fantasy has an interesting one here, and I know my answer is D, other. I don't need. Look, here's the thing. I like Alec Pierce as a player better. I think he's got a brighter future in the NFL here. What scares me about that situation is that I think there's a chance Matt Ryan works his way back into the damn lineup with the way Ellinger's looked, and I just do not like the outlook of either of those. Yes, he showed he had a little bit of chemistry with Matt Ryan, so maybe if Matt Ryan does play, maybe that is actually a tick up for Alec Pierce. But and then you got Matt Collins.
I've got Alec Pierce, and trust me, he's not my starting lineup today.
There's no Hunter Renfrow. There's no Darren Waller. Go with Matt Collins.
So Matt Collins is the guy I'm actually keeping my eyes on. because Hunter Renfro keeps, defeating me to our good friend Dan all season long this year. But Mac Hollins, if he has a good game today, he's a guy that you might want to check out and go get.
Yeah, I think we've seen that Mac Hollins, when they decide to use him, can have a higher ceiling probably than Alex Pierce. So I do think I agree. Mac Hollins would be the better dart throw in my opinion. And yeah, it is interesting there because if you read the Inside the Medical Tent,
which I did, by the way,
both
excellent.
Brian and I are kind of leaning towards the possibility that Hunter Renfro could just sit the rest of the year at this point.
Right.
The Raiders are 2-6 right now. And depending on how these next 4 weeks go for them with him out on IR, they might just shut it down for him, and I wouldn't blame them. So Mac Hollins, to your point, could be a nice little flex option for the rest of the season going here. Depending
because
on
at least
how
Derek
he
Carr is a professional quarterback, so
yeah,
so Mac Hollins, I'm pretty sure he's going to be on my waiver wire pickup article this week. So that's just a little preview for you right there. So
yeah, well, and then so yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say there. I apologize, but Mac Hollins, I'm there for. Yeah, it's just sometimes the wheels just start going and then they just kind of burn out and pitter out in your head there. Then the other kind
that's why you need lubricant right here. All right.
I mean, I got my lubricant right here, so I even went with a 16 ounce today. So.
Okay, you're getting serious. All right.
Maybe non-consequential news here. Kenny Galladay is expected to play. Do either one of you feel like he even matters on that team anymore? Because I really don't think he matters anymore, which is so sad because the career he was.
Because Daniel Jones is a quarterback that you could look at picking up if you need a guy, but still. I'm not doing backflips over Kenny Galladay.
No, that's the Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton show. Kenny Galladay is an afterthought by now, and he played. He not necessarily played himself into that role. He kind of attituded himself into that role. So,
yeah, no, it's just a shame how that all kind of played out for Kenny Galladay because he looked to have a promising future ahead.
They got rid of Tony, and so you'd figure play nice with the children, and you might actually have yourself a starting spot. But he didn't do that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, let's get into this, guys, because like we said, it is 14-3 now. The Seattle was able to kick a field goal. Bucks have the ball now. So from my own standpoint, let's go Mike Evans. I have him on a few teams.
I need Tyler Lockett to do something.
See, well, this is typical Tyler Lockett. This is why Tyler Lockett always frustrates me on fantasy teams is because he'll be like 0 points through the first 2.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden he'll catch 2 50-yard bombs and he'll end the day with like 25 points. Like that's just.
Well, I could use 25 fantasy points. All right, just so you know that.
Well, who couldn't use 25 fantasy points? I mean, true. Hey, there's another catch from Mike Evans. Look, I mean, I'm shaping up pretty good. I got 20 points from Foreman on Thursday night. I also got 16 from Marcus Mariota. So
Foreman,
good shape.
Let's give it up for Foreman, Chase, as you and I talked about on Wednesday night. Foreman, if you went out and got Hubbard, I'm sorry to report that's the wrong pickup.
Well, look, I'm not going to lie. The beginning of that game Thursday night, I was getting a little worried about Foreman's future there because they kept mixing in Blackshear a little bit. You were seeing Hubbard get mixed in, and Foreman didn't necessarily look explosive with the ball, so I was getting a little concerned. But luckily, he was able to kind of pull it back together. And like I said, by the time the game was over in my home league here, 20 points. So I'll take that any day of the week for my RB2.
Yeah, no, the Foreman thing ended up pretty big. He's been good. He's been real good, with the exception of the 1 week. And I think not chasing the Raheem Blackshear touchdowns seemed like an okay call. So
Well, here's the thing.
I could have had Hubbard. I could have had Foreman. I decided on Foreman, so that turns out to be the correct solution.
Yeah, that was always for me. Foreman was always the guy I wanted to have as the backup if I was a McCaffrey owner. So definitely happy to see that kind of come to fruition.
Foreman is why you should be. Foreman is why Mitchell was a decent stash, though.
Back to Elijah Mitchell. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Do you understand?
Oh, okay.
If you were rostering Foreman before the CMC trade, you should be rostering Eli Mitchell after the CMC trade.
Oh yes, definitely agree. Because as we see, CMC can go down at any point, and you never know.
Mitchell can be a fantasy.
Yeah, if you've got Mitchell, don't drop him. Absolutely don't drop
Mitchell. No.
And if he is out there and you've got room, grab it. Why not?
Yeah. because it's just a run first offense. So I mean, there's not even you don't even lose the possibility that maybe McCaffrey and Mitchell still get touches both, and Mitchell maybe steals a touchdown here or there. I wouldn't put it past the 49ers to kind of mix it up to like that a little bit here and there. So definitely don't drop him. But hey, let's start talking about some of these games, because there's some interesting games. Like we alluded to, that Vikings Bills game, we're gonna kind of get a look at what Josh Allen, he's slated to play right now, but I'm not convinced we're gonna see the full Josh Allen here. I really thought he wasn't gonna play. This UCL injury is not something to scoff at. As Brian said in the article, if this was a pitcher, this was Tommy John right away, no questions asked. He's done for the year. Now, obviously, quarterbacks and pitchers, different throwing mechanics here, but it just shows you how kind of fragile this injury could be. The fact that he's going to try to play through it, maybe one hit, or maybe just if he tries to do a sidearm throw and it just tweaks the like, you don't know what's gonna change here. This seems like a massive risk for the Bills to be taking. Just from a football standpoint, forget fantasy for a second. And I think they're feeling the pressure of the AFC East right now.
They are. Every team has a winning record in that division, so they know they have to. If they don't win a division, they're going to be on the road.
Would there be a more disappointing storyline this season if the Bills somehow lost the AFC East division? I don't think they are. I think they're still going to win it, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, if that were to happen and they say they lose it to Miami, would there be a more disappointing football storyline this year?
I don't know. I've had some pretty disappointing moments this year.
It's been pretty. I was going to say it's been pretty disappointing up there, in the Great White North.
I finally dropped Aaron Rodgers.
I guess you're not quite Great White North, isn't that right, Chase?
We're close. Pretty close. There's a little bit of space between me and the border, but
not much. I did finally drop Aaron Rodgers. I couldn't take it anymore. The mediocrity was just not getting me anywhere, so I needed to try to get some guys on my team that had some future upside here if I wanted to really make a run here. So I was able to go out and pick up Jaylen Warren and Rashard White. So that was I think good pickups for me to, if I have a chance, those guys are going to help me more than Aaron Rodgers at this point.
So Chase, what do you think of the talk of them? I heard let's start Jordan Love. Can't get behind that, can you?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. I was like, the whole team is going to go completely off the rails if they put him in there.
That's the typical overreaction of fans where they just assume that the next guy up is going to be better and save the day.
That sounds like someone got their Twitter verification so they could put that out in the universe. Right. We don't want that.
You got your check mark, but that's a little out.
Who just threw? So the Bucs just threw an interception with Tom Brady on the receiving end. So they were trying the good old trick play there. Brady out there as a receiver. Brady trips and falls, and defender jumps up and gets the easy
Well, whoever called that play should be left in Germany.
But I want to know who threw the ball. Like, that's what I'm interested in right now. Like, which receiver or who got up there and threw that? It didn't look like Seattle. It didn't look like
a few years ago when the USC coach, they left him at the airport. I forget who it was, but they lost and USC left him at the airport.
Oh, no, yeah, they swapped out coaches right after the game.
Yeah, he had to get his own flight home.
They're still not showing who threw. I really want to look. As long as it wasn't Mike Evans, I don't want that random -2 points. But anyways, while we figure out who threw that pass, before we get into Leonard Fournette threw the interception. So sorry, Kevin.
Of course he did. He's on my fantasy team, so that's negative points. Thanks a lot, Leonard.
-2 for an interception from Fournette. So that one hurts. He's
going to make those 2 points. He will make those 2 points up 12 rushes from now, as he averages 2 points a rush.
Yeah.
Hey, my boy,
you'll get it back.
Lockett's got 1 catch, so woohoo! So we're on our way now.
Woohoo! I'm gonna make a T-shirt with Kevin's face on it that just says "woohoo." I feel like that's just Kevin's go-to reaction. Woo! Oh, geez. Okay, well, we're gonna jump into our first break here with Manscaped. But when we come back, we're gonna start breaking down some of these games, talking about who should be in your lineups, who should be out, and maybe some surprises. So stick around. We will be right back.
Welcome to Fresh Ball Fall. It's the season of pumpkin spice and making sure your crotch looks nice. That means sipping cider in a fall breeze and using Manscaped products to trim your balls with ease. That's right, today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, a company here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Heck, even Mother Nature knows it's time to lose the excess clutter for fall. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Whether you're brand new or already with us at Manscaped, you can use the crown jewel of care for your family jewels, the Platinum Package 4.0. This glorious package, you can align your entire hygiene routine all in one swoop. Inside the 10-part Platinum Package is everything you know and love about the Performance Package, plus some shower goodies included to elevate your grooming game to platinum. You can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner. You'll have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. Don't forget to apply their aluminum-free Ultra Premium deodorant. And don't worry, it's not pumpkin spice, it's a cologne-quality fragrance. Get the Platinum Package this fall. These products are guaranteed to be hits for your dangly bits. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Manscaped, clear out the leaves. It's your tree trunk's time to shine.
Dangly bits.
I wonder if he says that with a straight face. You know, I'd like to see.
Look, it sounds like he does,
Yeah.
but I also want to know how many takes.
Yes.
Because there's no way.
Yeah.
I can
Dan is
say
the
all that.
epitome of professionalism. I'm sure that just rolls off the tongue.
You know what? You're not wrong. It wouldn't shock me at all if he was able to do it in one take. Wow, I can't believe Tom's watching that replay right now. Tom Brady just slips, which is interesting because I believe they're playing on real grass there in Germany, and I've seen a few people slip. It's with all the turf that's in the NFL and all these stadiums nowadays. Are guys just getting to the point where they're just not used to the way your feet react differently on grass? Like, has we hit that point of the NFL now?
They're playing on soccer grass.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
do they know
yes,
about fake grass over there in Europe?
they just choose not to use it.
Okay.
Germany, all the German scientists, they probably got some crazy grass cooked up over there. But yeah, I'll blame it on, they're playing on soccer grass. These guys aren't used to it. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, because I've seen a few slips, and it's just something I've kind of taken notice of. But anyways, let's get into this. So Chase, as we always do, what's a game that you're looking at as a fantasy relevant, like big time game today? Because there's some interesting over unders here. There's actually a lot of low over under totals today. So is this going to be kind of a down week for fantasy points, or is there a game that we can look to kind of break the slate?
Don't laugh, but Jaguars Chiefs, I think, is really interesting.
I was just looking at that one too. I want to hear your reasons.
I mean, obviously it's the Chiefs. I don't think I have to say too much more about that. Mahomes and company. I am still interested to see, do we get any more clarity this week on the running back situation for Kansas City? But other than that, Kadarius Toney, how do they continue to fit him into the offense? He had a couple of catches last week. And then the Chiefs are not good against opposing fantasy quarterbacks this year. They're like, I believe, number 2 or something in most points allowed. And Trevor Lawrence is somehow sneakily in the top 12 quarterbacks for the season. So, with an Etienne, are we going to see, hey, could we see this be a sneaky explosion game from a point standpoint? So I'm interested. I'm watching that one. I've got some Christian Kirk exposure across leagues. I've got Trevor Lawrence. So interested to see that one.
Yeah, Christian Kirk does feel like he could be a good play today. And look, Vegas seems to agree. That's actually, I believe, the highest point total on the day at 51.5. And I don't think they're expecting the Chiefs to be the ones that do all that scoring. So I do think there's a belief here that Jacksonville can score some points today. And look, we've seen it with Jacksonville. Sometimes all they need to do is be able to stay in the game just a little bit. And I'm not saying they're going to shock the Chiefs and win here, but this might just, to your point, this might just be a closer game than the records would state.
Right.
Travis
Etienne, there could be 7 touchdowns in this game between the two teams. This could.
That wouldn't shock me at all. You could get a rushing from Trevor Lawrence, 2 from Etienne. Like there's some points that could happen here. So I think that's definitely a good call out. And to your point, Christian Kirk has been probably not as great as his contract says he should be, but and I don't.
Well, there's no way he could have measured up to that contract.
Well,
there's
and I was
zero
just
chance.
yeah.
They knew that when he signed it.
And I was just gonna say, I don't think he's ever gonna until he changes teams in contracts, he's never gonna be able to shake that contract comparison because, like you said, he's not gonna live up to it. Most guys,
he's not Justin Jefferson.
From a fantasy standpoint, though, right now, I mean, he's wide receiver 10. Is he really not living up to a top level contract?
I mean, it's a fair point. It's just to Kevin's point, the money he got is more like Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp money. And I think from a football standpoint and a fantasy standpoint, he doesn't have necessarily that effect on the team. Like it's not like I don't think they can go to Kirk in a situation where they need someone to put the play on their back and really own it. I don't think he's that kind of player. I think he can get open in the end zone, but like between the 20s, I don't think he's going to take over the game much.
Well, but that's why they have Travis Etienne.
Well, and that's where it's working out nicely now. They were, and you know what? I'm so glad they decided to trade James Robinson because I think they finally saw that they had an explosive player in Etienne. And it's not to say that James Robinson still isn't explosive, but I think Etienne was always the future there.
Well, you don't cycle him in the first round and not be the future.
Exactly. So yeah, no, I think that's a good call out there, and that could be a very interesting game. Kevin, what say you? Where are you looking today for a good game for fantasy?
The obvious pick would be Minnesota and Buffalo, but with all that's going on, if you because I'm a Devin Singletary owner, I think he's going to have a big game today. That he's not going to Josh Allen, if he can get away with throwing a few passes, that Devin Singletary is the guy to go with. But since there's so many questions there, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. And we could see what Justin Fields, what his sequel is after just blowing the doors off the place the last couple of weeks. And there's not a better defense to do it against than Detroit Lions. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. And Darnell Mooney, I think, is going to show up in this game. And the Bears, despite their reputation, is not the fearsome defensive team that they've been in the past. In fact, they are number 18. So we were talking about Brown a minute ago. I think he is an absolute must start. And so the rest of their guys, Williams, Swift has been injured. And so I got a lot of confidence in Williams. And so I think there's a lot of fantasy points that's going to be scored in this game. And so I'm really looking forward to I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, maybe not 51.5 or whatever, but I think there's a lot of fantasy points to be scored in this game. So I'm really looking forward to an old-fashioned NFC North battle here.
Yeah, the over-under on that one right now is 48.5.
Justin Fields. Yeah, the Justin Fields ascendancy has been a good thing for Darnell Mooney. He's looked better the last 3-4 weeks. He's looked much better. He's looked much more like Darnell Mooney.
Cole Kmet is a guy that everybody was, including myself, was wanting to just bury in the backyard. And I
did bury him.
He has come alive. And so if you need a tight end, Cole Kmet would be a guy that you need to look at right now.
2 weeks in a row. Yeah, this last 3-4 week stretch here, whereas Justin Fields has blossomed almost, it looks like, in front of us, has been really good for those two big names. And with Claypool coming in, that all of a sudden that offense could look real scary. If Justin Fields is the real deal, they've got some talent. They've got some
learn how to get down so he does not, because he's running all over the place. And
do not become Robert Griffin III.
No, he needs to be more like Russell Wilson, because nobody could get down or out of bounds like Russell Wilson.
Right.
In past, I don't know about this year, but in the past, he was the best at not getting hurt. And so he needs to adopt that kind of thing, get out of bounds when you need to, get down when you need to, so that you survive to play the next play.
Yeah, and we've seen the Lions can definitely give up points. They can give up big plays. So, yeah, this definitely could be a Justin Fields kind of day. He could break another 60-yard touchdown run. What was that? The distance he had?
I don't think he's going to get
61, I think it was.
175, but
61,
yeah. So
yeah,
if he gets over 100 yards rushing, the ceiling is way high for Justin Fields.
And Seahawks just fumbled in the red zone on second.
Of course
and
they
10.
did.
And Tampa Bay recovers. Tampa Bay recovers turnover for Seattle. It was a Geno Smith fumble as well. Geno Smith fumble.
Oh, well.
So there goes that.
So there's nothing to celebrate up until now.
Yeah, no. But I am curious to see how Claypool starts to mix into that Bears offense for sure. That Bears offense is now, like to both of your points, has become interesting on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, it's too bad they traded away all the players on their defense because now they're, they're not the Bears defense. They're just not.
And they traded away Roquan Smith, which was obviously a big loss on the defense. So, to the point earlier, for sure, I think the Lions are going to be able to score points. I think this is going to be a game where we don't really see much defense played. I think both teams are going to be able to do a lot here, which is why I am starting Jared Goff today. So here's to that. Look, a game that I'm looking at personally is the Browns and Dolphins. I think there is some storylines here. Obviously, the same kind of thing, the ascendance of Tua here continuing. Tyreek Hill absolutely blowing the doors off the league right now as wide receiver 1. And somehow Jalen Waddle also being a top 10 wide receiver. Who would have thought that
top
Tua,
5 wide receiver? Yeah,
is it top 5 now? Yeah, who would have thought though that Tua could sustain 2 top 5 wide receivers? I know I didn't think that was going to be the case. I thought it would be one of them, and the other one would be like a back end kind of wide receiver 1 or mid wide receiver 2. But hey, they're doing it. And then like we said earlier, bringing in Jeff Wilson and still having Raheem Mostert, like this is a team that can do a lot on offense and attack you in a lot of different ways. And I think they smell blood in the water with the Bills right now. They saw them lose to the Jets. They see Josh Allen injured now. Miami could just come into this game, fully, head of steam forward, and just with the idea that they want to crush the Browns and take over this division, which they could very easily do if the Bills do lose today. So I like what I see from the Dolphins side. And look, let's not forget, from the Browns standpoint, Jacoby Brissett to a point is playing for his starting job right now. Deshaun Watson is set to be coming back in the next 2 weeks here. I feel, is he suspended?
He's already practiced. Tomorrow he'll start practicing.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember if he was suspended through week 11 or if he was eligible.
No, he's allowed to come back and practice.
Okay.
Yeah, he can practice, but he just can't play till they play Houston.
Yeah, okay. So this is Jacoby Brissett really kind of probably taking this opportunity to either make a name for himself to continue having a spot on this team or playing for his future on another team here. So I expect him to come out and play, at the top of his game. Amari Cooper and him have developed a connection there. And then, you got guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones popping up as well. So I think this is a game where
even Hayden Hurst, don't forget him.
Yep, Hayden Hurst as well. Like, I don't think the Dolphins defense is good enough to necessarily fully contain the Browns. I'm not saying the Browns are going to be able to go off and score 40 or anything, but this is a game where at 49.5 is the over-under. I could see this going over and seeing, both teams getting at least 3 touchdowns here. So I like really just about everybody in this game from a fantasy standpoint. Nick Chubb, I think, is going to continue to do what he's been doing all year. So Browns and Dolphins.
Actually, Hayden Hurst, that's Cincinnati. So forget that.
Harrison Bryant will be playing tight end mostly for the
Njoku is out.
Yes, Njoku is out.
So if you've got
Harrison
Njoku,
Bryant,
don't be rushing him out there.
Mackey Award winner Harrison Bryant from a couple of years ago, though. He's not a bad player. He's not Njoku, but so if you want a sneaky play there, yeah, you might be like on a DFS standpoint or whatever.
Yeah, I'm there.
You know the scary thing? Scary thing about Tyreek Hill, other than speed?
What?
He only has 3 touchdowns on the year.
I know, and he's still fantasy number 1, which is outrageous because it's all receptions and yards. That's that. When you say that,
when
that evens out at all.
Do come, it's going to be real scary.
Yeah, when you say that out loud, that is really impressive. To only have 3 touchdowns and be the wide receiver 1. And yes, I think wide receivers have been a little bit down from years past, but still, you're still dealing with some target monsters like Jefferson.
Especially because you could have had Hill at the end of the first or maybe in the second round. So
you could have had him.
Yeah, there's some teams out there where you're feeling pretty good with some of the value you got for some of the top guys in the league right now.
I took Justin Jefferson in the first, and I don't regret it.
Yeah,
but he's not. I think he's like wide receiver 5 right now, and so you could get a wide receiver 5 in the second round.
Yes. Because that's the thing. You draft Jefferson and Kupp so early, but when you compare it to the guys who usually show up as, like you said, your wide receiver 5s and 6, like they're often guys who do come from like the 3rd or 4th round. Josh Allen officially active right now. Just got that notification. So Josh Allen is going to play, and supposedly with
Devin Singletary, get him in the game.
Nothing reining him in either. So look for Josh Allen, and then really keep an eye on that, because all it's going to take, I think, is one either big hit to that side or him to fall on that side, or even if he throws it and he bangs his arm off a helmet in front of him, like it could be
which
anything.
We've seen quite a bit of in the last year or so. People have been banging their hand. Russell Wilson did it.
The helmet snap.
I don't think it's gonna take much to aggravate that UCL injury, or at least cause him discomfort to the point where I don't think we're gonna see a vintage Josh Allen performance today. But I'm more so concerned that I think there's a real possibility that the Bills, this risk does not pay off for them, and they lose him for longer than they would have. The worst case scenario here is he gets hurt enough to where he does have to have surgery and he misses the rest of the year. That's the worst case scenario at this point, and they're kind of putting themselves in that position. So we'll see what happens there. But hey,
so that just tells you they've no confidence in the backup. 0.
Well, which is surprising, because Case Keenum is not a bad backup.
Right?
He has shown that he's
before.
Very capable.
And
he's a good backup 1 week or 2 week quarterback.
And he has a history with Stephon Diggs.
He certainly does.
Receiver that year.
Everybody's seen that play 1,000 times over by now.
Yeah,
where they beat New Orleans in the playoffs a few years back. So
yeah, exactly. So it is a little baffling that they're taking this risk. So hey, maybe it's a situation where the injury isn't as bad as it's been reported, and they feel confident in that. So maybe it adds up for them math wise. But this is definitely a questionable one that we could potentially look back on and kind of point to the way the season ends for the Bills and point to this moment here. So we'll see how that shakes out. But before we get into any other games and getting into some start-sit questions, let's quickly hear from our sponsors over at True Classic Tees, as always, with the most comfortable T-shirts out there on the market right now. And we will be right back with some of your questions.
Football is back, baby, and our new sponsor, True Classic, wants you to look and feel your best even after a couple of brewskis or going full force on your fantasy football draft. Sure, it's football season, but it's also butt-to-couch season. Luckily, True Classic has the absolute best fitting clothing a man can buy. Snug in the arms and chest with a little extra space in the torso, their t-shirts are designed to keep you cozy and highlight your best assets no matter what you're up to. So if your special someone is upset that you're watching football all day, at least you can look good doing it. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men find the perfect fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at TrueClassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs, but most of us aren't packing anything but a few beers. Fellas, you are wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can always confidently throw on. It's about time to get your fit together, so upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic and get 25% off at TrueClassic.com with promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. That's 25% off at TrueClassic.com with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. If there's one bet you should make this football season, it's on True Classic. True Classic, look good, feel good.
All right, and quickly a little update here on the game. Cade Otton just made a big catch for the Bucks to bring them down into the red zone. So Bucks are knocking on the door again here against Seattle.
Cade Otton is a guy, Chase, that we talked about on Wednesday night as well. So
yeah, he's ascending. And hey, don't sleep
It looks
on
good, yeah.
if Brady really kind of gets his mojo back here in the second half of the season here. Don't sleep on Scotty Miller being a viable like slide and flex. He keeps looking to him in some key spots on some third downs. He's not going to like break the slate. He's not going to get you crazy points. Maybe not even a touchdown, but he's been good for about 3 or 4 catches these last 2 games.
Yeah, well, he had about 87 and a half targets last week, so I hope he can catch 3 or 4 of them because that's about what he did. He had a couple of big drops too, but no,
yeah, they all
he's
did.
He's a guy that there's just so many viable receivers in, like from a real life standpoint on that team between Julio, who scored the touchdown first today.
Yep.
And obviously Evans and Godwin. Otton looks like a guy, if Brate is ever healthy, he's on the field. There's just so many, and they're throwing to Leonard Fournette a ton. So there's a ton
that's
of
the
guys
thing
who are
that has
legitimate
saved Leonard
receivers.
Fournette fantasy season because he's caught so many
It's the only
passes.
thing.
The only thing,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, if
He's disappeared from the running game.
they could hand him the ball and he could fall forward and he would average about the exact same yardage he's averaging right now per carry. That's not a joke.
No, I know.
You're absolutely correct on that. So yeah,
I mean,
so
that is what happens most of the time. He gets the
keep
ball
throwing
these
him the
days.
football.
Rashad,
Yeah.
I do think by the end of the season here, this is going to be Rashad White's backfield. It's starting to trend that way, if you ask me.
Really?
So, that's
I
why
think
went
they
ahead
can
and-
both be in the same backfield and both be
Oh yeah, they both can.
fantasy relevant.
And what it's going to come down to is which one of them gets the touchdown today. Fournette's got the touchdown, so he's going to outscore Rashad White this week. It's just because of that, But Rashad White has 68 yards today. I don't think he has any catches, but he's got 60 rushing yards. So, yeah, I think that's why I went ahead and picked up Rashad White. He wasn't
Yeah, if you're in a standard league, especially if you're standard, go out and get White. No question.
Yeah, for sure. So hey, let's get into the Twitter world here. Get some start sit questions out of the way. And this person here, their name is a bunch of numbers and letters, so I'm not going to bother saying it as if it's a real name. But they need to sit one of these guys in a PPR league. They need to sit either Kareem Hunt, Michael Pittman, DeAndre Swift, or Jamal Williams in a PPR. I feel like the easy answer is to just pick one between Swift and Williams so that you don't bank all your exposure on the same.
Yeah, you don't want to play
backfield.
2 running backs from the same team.
Yeah, that's a risk, but at the same time, with the way they use those running backs, it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to both get a touchdown. But it is a risk. And this is what I want to. How do you guys feel about Kareem Hunt? It feels like he's kind of disappeared a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does.
So are we confident starting Kareem Hunt against Miami, or with
well, Miami's defense is not good, so maybe
it just feels like Nick Chubb is really the season he's having. They've just been let's just give him the ball. And Kareem Hunt hasn't disappeared completely, but I feel like we expected more out of Hunt, especially around the goal line from this team.
I agree with that. And where's the catches?
Yeah,
for him. Especially in a PPR league, you need those catches.
Well, and some of that may stem from, they've got Jacoby Brissett. They don't have their top guy in there necessarily, but the problem is you would think that if they've got Jacoby Brissett, who's technically their backup in, you'd think there'd be a little bit of check down action, and that's Kareem Hunt's specialty. You want to get him the ball in space. You want that kind of thing from him.
Right.
It's been interesting to see it this year. I mean, they're such a good two-headed monster, and it's not that they're not giving Kareem Hunt run. He's only averaging about 4 snaps a game, fewer than Nick Chubb in terms of being on the field.
Yep.
But his usage rate is way below and trailing Nick Chubb. He's still a good player. Hunt's still a good player. He still has massive, explosive, atomic upside if Chubb ever gets hurt or has to miss a game for whatever reason. It's just, we were hoping he'd be a top 20 type, top 24 type, and he hasn't been yet.
Well, a quick update here. Chris Godwin touchdown for the Bucs.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Extend their lead. And also Dameon Pierce is officially active for Houston. So that's good news there. I know he was nursing a couple injuries. So here, to get back to wrap up this though, I kind of want to say I want to sit Kareem Hunt and take the chance with both, but I think I'm going to say no. I'm going to sit Kareem Hunt out of those 4. I think. What's your final answer on these?
Well, I'm not so confident in Swift, so I'm sitting him,
Okay.
especially since I got I got Williams on my fantasy team. So Williams all the way.
What say you, Chase? I know it's a tough, weird one, right? Like,
Right. You just want to make sure
I
that,
think you.
that you just want to hit the if you're playing, you want to hit the runway and not go off on.
Yeah.
You know,
I
into
like
the
Jamal Williams.
I do too.
I like Jamal Williams against the Bears. I think that if they're trying to protect DeAndre Swift at all, they're not going to want to give him the pounding type carries I think will be available for Jamal Williams in that game. Swift is explosive enough; he doesn't need a ton of touches to get some points, but so is Kareem Hunt. And the biggest problem for Kareem Hunt right now is that they're just honestly, if nothing else, they're probably not handing him the ball enough. His targets haven't been great. He only got about three targets a game, but they're still using him like they want to use him. It's just that he hasn't scored as much as we want to see him score. Yeah, I would honestly, I'd sit Swift today.
all right, so that's two Swift, 1 Hunt. So there's your answer if you're listening out there. Sit DeAndre Swift.
That's right.
Let's get into another one here. This is another interesting one that brings it. Well, first, actually, I do want some injury news here. Ryan Tannehill is officially active, and then another hit here to the Bills. Tre'Davious White is inactive for their defense today. This is starting to feel like a spot that the Bills lose today. It's feeling that way to me now. Between Josh Allen not 100%, one of the top defenders now officially inactive. This just feels like a spot that is going to be another letdown coming off of that loss to the Jets last week too.
And they're playing a legitimate football team too. So
yeah,
you know what I mean. I've seen a lot of people, oh, Minnesota is not that good or whatever. I think they are, and so Buffalo needs to play a complete game today, to win this one. So
yeah, I think Buffalo being a touchdown favorite in this one was ridiculous. I think that this was not a game that would have shocked me if everybody was healthy and fine. We weren't talking about Josh Allen. I think that the Vikings had a shot at winning this game.
Yeah. And I think it's in Buffalo. So
it is in Buffalo.
So they do have that for them, but it feels like a Vikings win today.
Yeah, I don't know what if it's 60 degrees where you are, then maybe it's not so bad down there in Buffalo. So
it is not 60 degrees.
Maybe you're not going to get the lake snow effect and and all that. Where last year, where New England and Buffalo played, and they threw 3 passes.
That crazy wind game with
that game was wild.
So so I don't think that's what's going to be going on here. So it's going to be a good, interesting game.
Well, and it brings us up to our next start sit question here from Brian George. In a non-PPR league, he's choosing between George Pickens and Gabe Davis. And I got to say, if in non-PPR, I think I'm leading Pickens here. And with the way this is shaping out for the Bills today.
Yeah, everybody was all yay, Gabe and all that stuff, but he has not been consistent to me. And so
it's non-PPR?
Non-PPR.
If it's non-PPR, I'd actually lean more towards Davis because he doesn't get a ton of catches, but he gets a ton of yards when he does catch it. I would lean towards Davis in that scenario. Pickens is good, and I think Pickens is new chase people in that offense in terms of actually he's their number two or 1A, 1B type target. But when you don't have to worry about the number of catches, you're just worried about the yards and the points. That's kind of the one thing that Davis has done this year is get the yards and the points when he goes off. He's still a shot in the dark because you don't know if today's going to be the day he catches that 60-yard touchdown. But
and that's my fear right there with that
I
elbow
like
injury
Davis over Pickens there.
with that elbow injury for Allen. I'm not sure he's going to be taking those shots today, which I think takes Davis out of the game plan a little bit.
I think so too. And so if you got Diggs, you're safe.
I think if you have
Of
Diggs,
course.
you're safe no matter what. Even if Case
Yeah,
Keenum
you know,
comes
even
in.
if it's the water boy out there underhanding the ball, you're good with
Yeah,
Diggs.
you just can't sit Diggs. Like there's just
No.
no way you're sitting Diggs no matter what. But yeah, I am leaning towards Pickens in this situation. But respect the argument, Chase, as always. So if you're listening out there, Brian George, 2-1 Pickens over Davis here. So hopefully that helps for you. And look, just on the side note, this isn't a start-sit question here, but just thought about this. How are we feeling about Josh Palmer continuing what he did last week in the absence of Keenan Allen again? Because we're pretty much looking at pretty much the same lineup that the Chargers rolled out last week. And he led the team in targets and receptions. So I feel like this is going to be another good spot for Josh Palmer.
The only thing that gives me pause with that is the defense of the 49ers.
Sure.
They're going up against the number one defense in the 49ers. I like Joshua Palmer a lot, and especially with their injuries they've had. And I think if you got him, you got to get him in your lineup, but just temper your expectations a little bit because that's the 49ers are playing.
Yeah, and well, somebody has to catch the ball for him though, too.
Somebody has to.
It could be a Gerald Everett day.
How much upright is Herbert going to be able to be?
That's true. Well, and the 49ers are not great against opposing tight ends from a fantasy standpoint, so it could be a Gerald Everett type day. But I hope so. Somebody's got to catch the ball for him, and Palmer's healthy and Palmer's talented. So, yeah, I'd be happy to play him if I had him, and depending on who you've got that's on the bye or whatever this week. But
whoever's out there is not better than Joshua Palmer.
No.
On the waiver wire.
Oh yeah, no. If you're looking to pick someone else and he's available, he's definitely probably the best option to pick up. I would agree there. And speaking of, you bring up Gerald Everett. Sorry, man, I don't know why I'm coughing so much at the moment. You brought up Gerald Everett.
Have a drink.
You brought up Gerald Everett and the 49ers not being great against the tight end. We do have one here. It doesn't say if it's PPR or not. But
touchdown caught by Tyler Lockett. There he is.
Told you, he just shows up every time. And what was it, like a 25, 30-yard one?
Let's see here. It was 23 yards.
It was long enough to get in the end zone.
Yes.
Yep, 23 yards. So there you have it.
But we talked about the tight end, and this is a good one here, especially if Kyler Murray is out. Do you start Gerald Everett or Zach Ertz? And for me, it's Gerald Everett. I think he's just more involved. But
really,
if Kyler Murray doesn't start, do we go with that idea that they're just going to be dumping the ball to Ertz all day?
Zach Ertz is second in the league in red zone looks for tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they use him.
I don't know if you've got.
They
Zach
still
Ertz.
do use him a ton. He's been awesome.
I
like Ertz over. Yeah, I like Ertz over Everett in just about every scenario, but I'm just saying it could be a Gerald Everett game against the 49ers as opposed to heavy wide receiver. But no, you're talking about sitting at tight end. I don't think you can sit the number 4 tight end for the number 9, even for another top 10. I get that Murray may not be in.
Yeah,
but you're talking at tight end. You're talking sitting the number 4 option.
Yeah, I'm not. If I got Zach Ertz, well, if you got Zach Ertz, you probably don't have another tight end.
Well, but the question is,
Hurts and Everett. So,
and for the most part, yeah.
And real fast, I do see that if you are watching us on Facebook right now, we do apologize. The broadcast has been in and out on Facebook this whole time. So if you're catching us now and you've been trying for a little while, we apologize. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I do see we are currently active on Facebook at the moment. So just want to give you guys a shout out and let you know that we're here.
Okay.
We are here. But look, here's what worries me about Ertz is that if Kyler Murray's out and they're looking to get extra time in there, because who is the Cardinals' backup anyways? Why am I blanking on the Cardinals backup right now?
Colt McCoy.
Well,
Well, it was
hold
Colt
on.
McCoy. I don't know.
Is
Hold
it
on.
Colt McCoy? It is Colt McCoy.
It is. I believe
Colt McCoy would be the guy in. If they're looking to get extra time from McCoy, I'm worried that Ertz ends up
Colt
playing more of
McCoy,
a
that's
blocking
right.
role today, or it's more of a kind of chip and run. And I'm not convinced Colt McCoy would find him after the chip kind of thing. So it's more so of a between that and Everett being in position for a game today. I'm not convinced they get a wide array of different points here at the end of the day.
It's a legitimate question. It's a good question. Great question.
Oh yeah, it's not a bad spot to be in, especially the tight end position. You got yourself in a good situation there. So to your point, Ertz has been looking good. So let's see.
So given that it's Colt McCoy, if you've got James Conner, do you sit him now?
No.
I don't think you can.
James Conner?
Yeah. I think you got to play James Conner.
So do you play
I
James
think James
Conner,
Conner
or
might
do you
actually catch
play?
some passes.
Because I've got Connor and I got Williams from Detroit, both. And right now I've got Williams in as my starting running back.
That's closer than it should be, honestly.
It is
it
closer
is.
than it should be because the answer should be Connor, but
exactly.
it's a lot closer than it should be.
But like you said, given the matchup with San Francisco too, I'd have to look up exactly how they are against the run specifically.
Well, James Conner against the Rams against the run, they're 8th.
Well, hold on. Sorry, I was still thinking of the 49ers game. My apologies.
And the Bears are 29th against the run, so that leans it to me to Williams.
Yeah. Man, that's tough.
So that's my personal cross to bear right there. 'Cause I got to decide.
You know what? I think I do go Williams just for the fact that I think there's going to be more points scored in that game. I'm not convinced that Cardinals-Ram game, given
It's
if
gonna be a
Kyler
real
Murray
big one, yeah.
sits and
That's going to be one of
Stafford's out.
those, 17-13 games or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't see there being a ton of touchdowns scored in that game. So I think, sure, there's a chance that James Conner gets one of the only ones, or maybe two of the only ones. But I think you got to go with the upside of the game script for James.
That's a
Williams
good
here.
argument with the Lions and the Bears and how many points might get scored there. Do you see more opportunities inside the 20 for Jamal Williams than you do for James Conner? And I'd say,
And I think you do. Yeah. You know what, Kevin? Stick with Williams.
Okay, that's my final answer.
That's one of those brave moves that we make as
That's
fantasy
right.
football managers.
I don't have to make the move, but I am playing Connor across several leagues because I had a lot of exposure to him because I was high on him in the preseason. I had him ranked so high.
Well, I drafted him, so.
But Williams. I mean, I see a nice day for Williams, and every time he scores twice.
So here's a good question. It just came out a couple minutes ago. This will be our last one of the day here because then we're going to wrap up the show. But given what we know about Josh Allen, his injury, and that he's playing, I think a lot of people are going to be in this position where they are now questioning whether they start Josh Allen or their backup QB from their bench. And this is an interesting
if he's starting, you start Josh Allen.
So here's an interesting Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence.
Josh Allen.
You still confident that Josh Allen's going to be able? Because here's the thing, I can see Trevor Lawrence getting you at least 15 points today.
Against Kansas City, that makes it an interesting argument. But I don't see how you bench Josh Allen. I just don't.
You don't overthink it. You start your stud, and if it turns out to be the wrong decision,
if you wind up getting buried in the backyard, then you just lay down, and that's it.
Well, there you go, Tommy Blair. Tommy Blair, if you're listening out there, Josh Allen, don't overthink it, is the answer from here at the crew unanimously. But I wanted to bring it up because I think it is going to be a situation that people are going to be questioning today, literally right up to kickoff, probably. They're going to be
Josh Allen is okay and Josh Allen has a Josh Allen game, and you went and started Trevor Lawrence and he has a Trevor Lawrence 9.88 fantasy point game.
Yeah.
How are you going to feel?
If you
don't start Trevor Lawrence and he goes off, well, congratulations. Neither did just about anybody else.
We're talking about Josh Allen because I've got Josh Allen in one of my dynasty leagues, but I also got Justin Fields. So if you've got Justin Fields,
that's a more interesting question now,
right?
Because of how well he's been playing.
I actually had Fields ranked at 3 and I had Allen ranked at 4 anyway. So
Right.
that's
So
this week.
I went ahead and because I had Marcus Mariota as my third quarterback, and I didn't know if Josh Allen's going to start, so I started Marcus Mariota to my regret, but I still got 18 fantasy points out of him. So
Which reminds me, now that Allen is officially active, I do have to update my rankings. I had him a lot lower, under the impression that he wasn't going to start. So I got to find him. I'll do that in a minute. But anyways,
I think I'm still going to stick with Justin Fields as my quarterback 2.
Mariota didn't kill you though. Yeah, at least. Like
No,
you
he
said. I mean,
that
Oh.
silly interception that he threw
yeah, but still,
was
for
one
me,
of the stupidest
depending on his-
plays probably
What
of
a
the
crazy
entire
play that was.
season.
depending
Yeah,
on your,
but,
depending
I
on
thought
your
it was
scoring,
great
though.
television.
Oh yeah, it was
Awesome.
you know
Depending on the
yeah,
scoring, though, for him to get you 16 points in most likely a situation where he was your QB2 in a super flex or in a 2 QB league,
Yeah.
you're gonna take that any day of the week. So yeah, Marcus.
so
Mariota.
yeah, so I came out of that okay.
And this Leonard Fournette doubtful to return against the guy. I did not see the injury
Of
happen.
course.
I was looking up for any last minute
Yeah,
injury
let me
news coming
see.
into the day. He's at the top of the list at just 2 minutes ago, so it must have just happened. He's going to end his day with 57 yards and a touchdown. To my point, Rashard White, even before that injury, had more yards than Fournette. And to Chase's point, that is not a surprise, because he averages so little. Ezekiel Elliott officially expected not to play. Jarvis Landry is active again for the Saints this week, and that is the most recent pieces of injury news. So look, thank you for joining us here on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on BellyUp.tv. As always, you can catch us here every Sunday at 11 for Belly Up Fantasy Live, and we, as always, wish you the most luck with your matchups as we all make our last push towards playoff relevancy. So
That's
good
right.
luck. Have a good day and enjoy the games.